So let's talk about The Pagemaster with Macauly Culkin and Christopher Lloyd. Is this 1994 half live action, half anime flick really that bad? Or should I give this film some good old fashioned Big D justice? Well, I'm going to do just that as I review The Pagemaster right now. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name's Doyle, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1994 live-action animated fantasy adventure flick, The Pagemaster, released by Fox and produced by Turner Pictures along with Hanna-Barbera. The film was released in November of 1994, starring Macauly Culkin along with Christopher Lloyd, Ed Begley Jr., and Mel Harris, along with the voices of Whoopi Goldberg, Patrick Stewart, Leonard Nimoy, and voice god Frank Welker. The film focuses on a timid young boy named Richard Tyler who uses statistics as an excuse to avoid anything he finds uncomfortable in life. But after reluctantly undertaking an errand for his father, he gets caught in a storm which forces him to seek refuge in a library. He then finds himself trapped inside it, where he must battle his way through literary classics coming to life if he is to find his way home. Now, Joe Johnston, who of course would later go on to direct Captain America, the First Avenger, and of course he also worked on The Rocketeer as well, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And after this, he'd later go on to work on Jumanji, Jurassic Park 3, and The Wolfman. And the anime segments were directed by Pixelte Hunt, if I mispronounce that, I apologize, and Glenn Chaika. The film was produced by David Kirshner and Paul Gertz. So, if you're ready, let's give this a try. Pessimistic 10-year-old Richard Tyler lives life based on statistics and fears everything. His exasperated parents have tried multiple ways to build up his courage to little success. Richard is sent to buy a bag of nails for building a treehouse. However, Richard gets caught in a harsh thunderstorm and takes shelter in the library. He meets Mr. Dewey, an eccentric librarian or custodian, it's both, who insists that he is in need of a special book, and gives him a library card despite Richard's protest. Now, just trying to figure out what he's in the need for, fantasy or adventure or horror. Yeah. So searching for a phone, Richard finds a large rotunda painted with many famous literary characters. He slips on water dripping from his coat and falls over, knocking himself out. Richard awakens to find the rotunda art melting, which washes over him in the library, turning them into illustrations. He is met by the Pagemaster, the mythical keeper of the books and guardian of the written word. Richard asks for directions to the exit, so the Pagemaster sends him through the fiction section toward the green neon exit sign. Along the way, Richard befriends 3 anthropomorphic books: Adventure, a swashbuckling pirate-like book; Fantasy, a sassy but caring fairy tale book; and Horror, a fearful hunch book, as it's called, with a misshapen spine. The 3 agree to help Richard if he checks them out using his new library card. Together, the quartet encounters classic fictional characters. They meet Dr. Jekyll, who turns into Mr. Hyde, driving them to the open waters of the land of adventure. However, the group is separated after Moby Dick attacks, following the whale's battle with Captain Ahab. Richard and Adventure are shipwrecked and picked up by the Hispaniola, captained by Long John Silver. The pirates go to Treasure Island, but find no treasure except for 1 gold coin. nearly causing a mutiny between the captain and the crew. Fantasy and horror return and defeat the pirates. Silver attempts to convince Richard to leave with him, but surrenders when Richard threatens him with a sword. Yeah. Now, before I continue and get to the 5 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and get to that early. I will say this film's not too bad from what you might think, but overall, the Pagemaster is. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you the ending. So if you haven't seen this movie, you better go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. You have 5 seconds, like always. But if you have seen this movie, please continue on after the 5 seconds are over with. I'm going to use the hand this time. Here we go. My bad, I was getting ahead of myself, but you've been warned now. In the fantasy section, Richard sees the exit sign on the top of a mountain. However, adventure's bumbling awakens a dormant dragon. Richard tries to fight the dragon with a sword and shield, but the dragon swallows him. Richard finds books in the dragon's stomach and uses a beanstalk from Jack and the Beanstalk to escape through the dragon's mouth. He and the books climb the beanstalk to reach the exit, and they enter a large dark room where the Pagemaster awaits them. Richard accuses the Pagemaster of causing the horrors that he suffered, but the Pagemaster reveals the journey was intended to make Richard face his fears. Dr. Jekyll, Captain Ahab, Long John Silver, and the dragon reappear in a magical twister to congratulate him. The Pagemaster swoops Richard and the books into the twister, sending them back to the real world. Richard awakens, finding adventure, fantasy, and horror lying next to him as real books. Mr. Dewey finds him, and even though the library policy only allows a person to check out 2 books at a time, lets him check out all 3 books just this once. Richard returns home a braver boy, sleeping in his new treehouse with his books, where his parents find him after searching all over town, believing him to be missing. End of story. So what did I think of the Pagemaster? Well, I can tell you this was actually a guilty pleasure of mine when it came out. Now I do like some of the performances we got. Macauly Culkin, well, still not quite as good as he was in the 2 Home Alone movies or even My Girl. He still does a reasonably good job as Richard Tyler. Of course, he's the only actor in the film to portray his own character in both live action and animation. Now, Christopher Lloyd does Mr. Dewey and voices the Pagemaster as well. Let's see here. And then, of course, we have Ed Begley Jr. and Mel Harris playing Richard's parents, Alan and Claire Tyler. Now, the rest of the voice acting cast includes Patrick Stewart. Most of y'all know him best for playing Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek The Next Generation and later Star Trek films. And of course, he's got his own series now, Picard, and also before he got to play Professor Charles Xavier in the X-Men franchise, does the voice of Adventure. Voice in fantasy is Whoopi Goldberg. I will say she's pretty good. And let's see. And in horror is voiced by the legendary Frank Welker, who of course is certainly no stranger to working with Hanna-Barbera. He's worked on numerous shows that might them, lots of other studios. Another Star Trek alumna is Leonard Nimoy, who of course played Mr. Spock. He does the voice for both Jekyll and Hyde. Now, the other voices include George Hearn as Captain Ahab and Jim Cummings, who of course was a big voice actor at Disney at the time, voicing Long John Silver. There was also other voices including Phil Hartman, Ed Gilbert, and B.J. Ward. So anyway, the cast isn't too bad. Anyway, the film unfortunately got dissed by critics and what have you, and it failed to only make $13 million against its $34 million budget. Yeah, so henceforth the film bombed at the box office. Macaulay Culkin also earned a Razzie nomination, but unfortunately lost to Kevin Costner for his performance in Wyatt Earp. Of course, Culkin did a couple other movies at the same time. Well, the same year this came out. Those were Getting Even with Dad and Richie Rich. Which that's kind of funny they nominate him for three different movies. I think that's dull. Why can't they stop these awards stop and think of nominating the person for just one measly bad movie? Come on, get some brains here. Still, I will say it does have a little few silly moments and what have you when especially when Fancy uses her wand and what have you. It's pretty funny. I do like the atmosphere of how some of these here this here animated literary world turned out to be. It was pretty cool. But it's not really a great movie though. So would I recommend the Pagemaster? Well, just to be on the safe side, I would probably call it a draw between no and or maybe give it a one-time watch. Just to be on the safe side. Yeah, this set back other anime films for Turner feature animation because, well, since this film was a big box office disappointment, along with another film that Turner feature animation did, which of course was 1997's Cats Don't Dance, also was a dud. So, like I said, I'd say just to be on the safe side, maybe a one-time watch or avoid it. Okay, that's just from my opinion. Like I said, this was kind of a guilty pleasure, so I'm giving this film a little bit of Big D justice. It still has a pretty good voice acting cast, but in the live action, it's reasonable and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Alright, with all that said, that's all I'm going to tell you on the Pagemaster. So what are your thoughts on the Pagemaster? Let me know what you thought about in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, be a part of the Big D Nation, and stay tuned because tomorrow will be the big event itself, my TV log for the PBS Kids Classic series known as Zoom, celebrating its 50th anniversary. This is going to be fun. So thanks for watching. If you like this, you may want to consider check out my reviews for these other movies. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of My Girl. The upper right-hand corner is my review for another film that had someone liking books that really does like to read books. That's Matilda from '96. Or if you'd like, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my review for, well, another film. A film that I just recently reviewed in the form of Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, and the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.